While the folks at Epic Games have done a lot of things right with Fortnite Battle Royale since it was released back in September 2017, they've also done a lot wrong. Throughout each of the last 9 seasons, there have been plenty of times Epic Games let the community down by adding or removing weapons and features. Hey, what can we say? We're a very salty community with a lot of different opinions, so we could get ticked off very easily. What's there to say about the pump shotgun that already hasn't been said? We, and players like Rifty, already missed this weapon, and it's only been a few weeks. We still can't believe it's not in the game, and nothing's going to change that. The pump shotgun was a staple of Fortnite, and it's gone. We just can't get over it. It was a huge decision that Epic Games made, and it angered a ton of players. Now, Epic Games removed the pump shotgun because it accounted for over a quarter of all kills in the default playlist, with no other weapon even coming close to it. Instead of nerfing the weapon and then making it useless, they decided to vault it until it's ready to return to the game, and then replaced it with the incredibly disappointing and weak combat shotgun. Yeah, their point makes sense, but honestly, we would have preferred a significant nerf over an underwhelming new weapon. 2 words: double pump. It's more than just a meme, it's a lifestyle, but it's one that we're forced to retire. With the pump shotgun vaulted, the dream of the double pump returning is officially dead. Whether you loved it or you hated it, double pump was a popular tactic in Fortnite. As Daquan Loco shows us, all you had to do was carry 2 pump shotguns or more and switch between them after every shot. This significantly increased the fire rate of the weapon and, when executed properly, gave you a huge advantage over others at close range. All the pros were using it, and even casual players were catching on. But Epic Games has done everything they could to get rid of the double pump, and now it's gone. Goodbye, double pump. Goodbye, our friend. You've been the one. You've been the one for us. We're starting to get a little annoyed with the drum gun, aren't you? We're sure Vicstar123 is having a field day with it, and it's an amazing weapon, but maybe it's just, too amazing? While it's not as OP as it was before, this weapon is still insanely powerful. Nothing has really changed between the current drum gun and the old drum gun other than the spawn rate. It's more in line with other weapons now, making it more difficult to come across, but if you get your hands on it, you have one of the best weapons in the game, which we feel isn't what Epic Games wanted at all. The weapon is going to need a significant nerf very soon, or else it could have some real negative effects on Season 9 as a whole moving forward. The drum gun used to be our favorite, but now it's just a thorn in our side. All the fun we were having with the Stormwing planes, yeah, that didn't last very long at all. They were a great way for players like Target 3D Gaming to get around the Fortnite map, but everything else about them was bad, like very, very bad. Players would just fly their planes right into other players and take them out with no effort whatsoever, which was so annoying we can't even properly explain it. The sky was just full of kamikaze pilots. To top it all off, you wouldn't even take falling damage if you decided to get out of a plane in midair because it would just activate your glider, meaning there was zero risk in flying one. They were also really easy to control, and there were no real counters to them. They were difficult to shoot down, so Epic Games vaulted them, but the planes shouldn't have been in the game in the first place. They were awful. While the Infinity Blade was an awesome addition at first, they got really annoying really fast. It was great to swing something other than our pickaxe at players, but just like Kevin LaFortnite, we quickly realized this thing was the most OP weapon in the game. The Infinity Blade allowed you to take down opponents with ease, and you were able to launch yourself in the air and then come down with the blade. If that wasn't enough, it could have even taken down structures like it was nothing. This weapon was able to do it all, and it was even more OP than the planes. With everyone complaining about the weapon, Epic Games had to apologize for adding it to the game on Twitter, but to this day, we still can't believe that the Infinity Blade and the Stormwing planes were in the game at the same time. It was a mind-boggling decision by Epic Games. We were so excited for Halloween 2018 because we were really looking forward to Fortnitemares. We were waiting and willing to spend out sweet V-Bucks on new skins, and well, it ended up being a bit underwhelming. Not only did we get lame re-releases of last year's skins, but as T Martin 2 shows us, we got cube monsters as well. You know what? Let's just call them zombies. We grew sick and tired of these zombies very quickly. All they would do is get in the way of a crucial battle and then ruin everything. Sure, it goes both ways since they could also bother your opponent, but stuff like this shouldn't go on in the middle of a battle royale. There's already enough variables as it is, and adding friggin' zombies to the mix did not help at all. We're so happy they got rid of them because we couldn't stand one more second of them. Also in Season 6 were the Shadow Stones. As if the Fort Nightmares event wasn't bad enough, we got these stones that sounded good on paper, but in practice came with a bunch of unexpected problems. They allowed players like Basically I Do Work to make themselves invisible, but not just for 45 seconds, for the entire game. They just looked like a floating gun or pickaxe, making it hard to pinpoint exactly where to shoot at. These shadow stones were supposed to make you give off a purple trail and then wear off after a short time, but they didn't even do that sometimes. No wonder they've been in and out of the vault so many times. Of course, the shadow stones were removed once Season 7 came to town, and we were so happy for that season. When we got the Soaring 50's LTM mode that allowed us to deploy our gliders anytime, we didn't think much of it. Like iTemp plays, we thought it was a bit gimmicky at first, but had a lot of fun with it in the LTM. The problem was that Epic Games saw us all having fun and enjoying it, so they assumed this meant we wanted this glider redeployability in all default playlists, but we never asked for it. They made players able to redeploy their glider at any height so they could jump from anything and not take damage. Of course, the decision inevitably flopped. Players absolutely hated it because teams would just swoop in, literally, the second they heard gunfire, and then third party. It made traveling too easy, and we were so happy when Epic Games got rid of it for good. The glider item was a much better alternative. Season 7 wasn't all that bad though, because it also added some new features to Fortnite that we thought were going to change the game forever. One of them was that you'd gain 50 health for every elimination you earn. If your health was already full, then you'd gain 50 shield instead. But if you already had full health and shield when you got an elimination, you got nothing. Nada, zilch, zero, yeah, you get it. It was an interesting feature that was supposed to make players more aggressive, which it definitely did since there were significantly less campers, but then out of the blue, they removed it early in Season 8. We just didn't get it. We loved the feature and found it incredibly rewarding, but then just like that, it was gone, never to be seen again in the Battle Royale. Another similar feature was removed in Season 8, and it was just as frustrating. The same time that we got the health after kills feature added to the game, we also got the materials after kills feature, which gave you 50 of each material after an elimination to go along with that extra health and shield. That's 50 wood, 50 brick, and 50 metal, which could have been very useful when defending yourself after a kill. You could just build with those mats to protect yourself, and it made getting kills feel so much more rewarding. It also helped eliminate at least some third partying, but like we mentioned earlier, it also got removed for no apparent reason in Season 8. Epic Games is such a tease. In Season 1 of Fortnite, everyone was terrible. There were noobs as far as the eye could see. Players couldn't build, they couldn't aim to save their lives, and there were only a handful of elite players at the time. Scissors was pretty good, and then there was this guy called Ninja who seems to have done quite well for himself, but in general, players were quite bad. This led to a lot of players camping in the bushes to get to the end game and hope that they miraculously win. It's one of the most boring tactics out there, but it works. Instead of making bushes solid so no player can camp in them, Epic Games decided to become the bush and then added an item that allowed players to do just that. One of the most infamous Fortnite updates of all time happened in Season 6. We have no idea how this got implemented into the game, and we have even less of an idea what Epic Games was thinking, but they decided to allow explosives to damage players through walls and other structures. Yeah, you heard us right. They allowed explosives to damage players through walls. Through walls! How in the what now? We honestly have no clue how the heck this change was approved. We're shaking our heads just thinking about it. It wasn't a good idea at all, and it got literally every Fortnite player venting their frustrations online. Even players who don't read patch notes noticed that they were getting damaged through walls, so Epic Games almost immediately patched it. This was just one of those bonehead decisions that happens every once in a while, and we're very thankful that something like this hasn't happened since. When the guided missile was added in Season 3, it was so ridiculously overpowered, way stronger than it is in this clip by Hollow. Not only could it scout out the area and let you know if any enemies were nearby, but it stayed in the air for a long time and was able to deal some massive damage if you nailed your opponents with it. It was easily the most overpowered weapon in the game by a wide margin at the time, which is why it was vaulted immediately in the next patch. There's no denying, that's the reason it got vaulted. Epic knew the weapon was beyond OP. It came back into the game, but it was nerfed so badly it was pretty much useless, so it was put back into the vault for good not too long after. The guided missile was a neat idea, but it just didn't work out. The mounted turret was introduced in Season 6 and kinda came out of nowhere, but was surprisingly lethal. In a default playlist, it's pretty powerful, but in a 50 vs 50 LTM, the mounted turret is on another level. Just look at Lachlan absolutely shred everything in sight. It's a legendary trap item, meaning it's very rare, and we hope it stays that way because it's so powerful. It has unlimited ammo, meaning that you can fire it as much as you want, but don't forget to take your finger off the trigger every now and then so it doesn't overheat. Each bullet does 40 damage to players, and the turret itself had so much health at first that Epic Games had to severely nerf it with a quick hot fix almost immediately after it was introduced. At least they were able to fix the problem right away, just like with the explosive damage. Like most new weapons that get added to Fortnite, everyone thought the minigun was OP at first, even Musou. Why does this happen all the time? Who knows, but players were saying that it needed to get nerfed, until they realized it was actually pretty bad. Not only did it have a bit of a delay before firing, like miniguns in real life, but it was a complete pea shooter that did little to no damage per shot. Sure, the fire rate of the weapon was quite fast, but it wasn't the most accurate thing, and the shot delay really messed up close-range combat. It was best used to take out structures, but it wasn't that great at it either, since it would overheat after 6 seconds and players could just keep rebuilding a wall. It's not very useful, and honestly, we're surprised it's still in the game today. It's really not that good. The vending machines in the game today are completely different than they were before. Now, like Sunday, you get your choice of 3 items, and once you pick that item, the vending machine goes away and no one else can use it. It's very simple, but it wasn't always like that. When they were first introduced, they required materials in exchange for the item. It could be anywhere from 100 to 600 of a specific material, all for one single item. Epic Games noticed no one was using these vending machines and they were completely useless. So they knew they had to switch things up to make them a more viable option for players. That's when they made the change, but we just don't see the point of them. Sure, at least vending machines have a use now, but we feel like Fortnite would be better off without them. It'll happen eventually. When we got our hands on the hand cannon, we absolutely loved it. The gun was a beast, but let's be honest, it was pretty bad at most ranges. It was like the bullets of the weapon moved in slow motion, so it was pretty much impossible to hit any moving targets whatsoever. Still, players like iBallistic Squid loved keeping one in their arsenal because it was amazing at taking out structures. One shot did 150 damage, so if someone was building with wood and then you shot the structure before it reached its max health, it'd break in one shot. This meant it could stop players building up to you in their tracks and make life very difficult for your opponents, which is always fun. In Season 7, Epic Games decided to nerf the damage that hand cannons deal to structures from 150 to 100, making the weapon useless. It's gotta go. Every time we're about to open up a chest in Fortnite, we get excited like a dog waiting for its owner to come back from work. No matter how many chests you open, you get this feeling. So you can only imagine how frustrating it must be for players like Mickey2K to open a chest and then get absolutely nothing. It's like looking forward to your Christmas presents and then opening them up to only find some coal. Yeah, the empty chest bug was a huge problem in the early days of Fortnite that really ticked players off. It's the most annoying thing in the world to be guaranteed some loot and then get absolutely nothing. This even happened to us a few times in the first few seasons of Fortnite, but thankfully, Epic Games fixed things up and then got rid of this infuriating glitch. We still haven't forgotten about how disappointing it was though. The refund system in Fortnite was created with good intentions, but of course, players like Fury TV found a way to exploit it for all it's worth. The refund system was designed to refund players who made accidental purchases or just weren't happy with what they bought for whatever reason. It's a great system to have. Typically, you'll only have 3 refund tickets to use to get your V-Bucks back, and then once they're all used up, that's it. No more refunds for you. Like we said, some players found a way to exploit this system and then got unlimited refund tokens to refund things as much as they wanted by flipping through the menus very quickly. The refund system had trouble processing what was going on and then wouldn't register when a refund was made. It was so bad, Epic Games had to fix it. As you know by now, we loved Season 5, but if you were a console player, you probably didn't enjoy the launch very much. In fact, we're pretty sure you hated it. Most updates go off without a hitch because the devs are preparing for any and all problems, but not this one. It was pretty much unplayable on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch, with many believing that it was the worst update of all time. we definitely wouldn't go that far, but there was a tremendous amount of lag and the game wouldn't stop crashing. Luckily, once there were less players online, things seemed to get better, so it was clearly a server issue. Fortnite most likely had over 1 million players online at once, which may have crashed their servers, but season launches have gone so much smoother since then, so Epic Games clearly learned their lesson, even if it was the hard way. And those were just some of the times the folks at Epic Games let the Fortnite community down. Do you agree with this list? Are there any letdowns that we may have missed? Let us know in the comments section below, and don't forget to subscribe to CBR for more Fortnite videos. Thanks for watching.